So, just making breakfast this morning and figured I'd record it just for the sake of being able to, you know, be able to have it recorded. So, I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. Crepes are really simple to create because they really only have like 4 ingredients. You got butter, milk, eggs, and flour. And really, it's just that simple. So, I mean, I'm making crepes for 4. So, I mean, you can kind of modify this to be more what you want to do. But I start off by melting the butter. It's important to melt the butter because if the butter is solid, you can't mix it. This makes sense, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and melt the butter. I've actually warmed the eggs, running them under hot water, okay? I don't want to boil them because otherwise they get too hard. Hard to mix hard things, right? So I warm the eggs so that when they mix with the heated melted butter, they don't make the butter go hard. The butter is still a little solid, so I just like to swirl it a little bit. It helps to melt the butter a little bit more. But once this is swirled enough and I can't get it to melt the rest of the butter further, I just go ahead and I'll pop it in for another 30 seconds. Just to see if it'll melt the rest of the way. So, to be able to make crepes, we need these basic ingredients. We got the flour, okay? Got 2 eggs, okay? Again, I'm making crepes for 4. Got milk. And I've got 2 screaming toddlers in the other room. Recipe for success, right? Recipe for success. Using a whisk, you can use pretty much any whisk. But I like the wire whisks. Try saying that 20 times fast. Okay, this is definitely melted. Probably a little bit too much. You guys, no screaming. Okay, no screaming. Scarlett, did you hear me, honey? No standing on the couch. Oliver. Gotta be kind, okay? Gotta play kind. Wow, okay. So, we've got our butter all melted. I'm just kind of swirling it to be able to mix it. Try to whisk through it a little bit. Okay. So, like I said, the important thing with eggs, if you put cold eggs with melted butter, the butter will get clumpy and it'll be really hard to be able to mix things together. So what I'm gonna do, one at a time, since I heated these up in the hot water, not boiling water, hot water, I'm gonna go ahead and mix them in one at a time. This will help so that there's not too much temperature shock. Just trying to really mix that in and go quick so that way.
Yeah, you're a good baker.
Thank you, honey. I'm recording it so that way we can remember the recipe.
Oh.
Okay.
Alright, would you like
Second egg getting mixed in. No. You need to get down. Okay.
Let's go.
Breakfast is family time. Okay, so now we got 2 eggs mixed into that. Real easy.
Can I see?
Ow.
Oh, sorry.
Just out.
I want an apple. And it's for everything.
Pay them with apples. Alright, let's go ahead. Okay. So now what I'm looking for when I'm mixing my crepe batter, I'm looking for consistency. So I mean, obviously I haven't added any milk yet, so it's not going to get to crepe batter consistency. Until I start adding in the milk. Okay. So I just added a half cup of flour. I will probably leave it there. Okay. Uh-oh.
Look at what I got.
What'd you get?
At school, I got a pink eraser.
You got a pink eraser, huh? Oh, that's a fancy little eraser. Let me see. Let me see.
No, then. Oh! You almost put it in there.
Yeah, I don't want to drop that in the crepes. Oh, do you know who that is on there?
An elephant.
It's an elephant. But what elephant? Do you know his name? His name is Horton.
Oh.
Yeah, so now we've got this to kind of this consistency. We want to start adding milk, okay? Now the consistency that I look for is really pretty thin. Okay, I need it to be runny because when I add it to my pan, I want to make sure that it's leveling itself out. If your batter is too thick, it's easy for it to be clumpy and to be too thick in spots when it's cooking. So I like to make sure that my batter is pretty runny, so that way we don't have to worry about it clumping up and making a mess. It makes for a better crepe. It makes for a flatter crepe. It makes for a thinner crepe, something that you can roll more easily. Okay, right now I'm feeling like that's not enough batter. I do have enough eggs, so I'm not going to add more eggs. I'm not going to add more butter. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to add another quarter cup of flour. Okay, let's mix it in. It's a good idea to mix the flour in all the way before you go through and add more milk, because if you add more milk before you're able to see how thick it is, you might end up with an off-balance recipe. You might end up with too much milk and having to add in more flour to be able to thicken it up. So right now you're coming to like waffle consistency, and you don't want waffle consistency for crepes. They are crepes. Okay. Okay, it looks like it's still a little too thick, so I'm going to add some more milk. I'm using a different kind of milk than I usually do. I usually like to use 2%. We have skim today. We just accidentally grabbed the wrong one when we got milk. Bless you!
Cool! I can see it right there.
You can see it from there?
Yeah, I can see it on the phone.
Good, I'll keep standing right there. Oh, you can see it on the phone? Alright. Okay, so there we go. There's our crepe batter. And that should be enough to be able to get some good crepes for all four of us. And especially as they are, I mean, my kids, they're only toddlers. But boy, can they down these crepes. Alright.
Cool, I love that you're a babe. You're the best cooker dad ever.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
I'm the best cooker dad. Oh.
You're the best cooker dad ever.
Okay, Scarlett, you need to come over here, okay? You don't have any pants on, okay?
Hang on.
That's That's why I don't want you over here, because you don't have pants on. You don't like to wear pants. You're a toddler. Cool. So now we're going to try to adjust this a little bit so that we can see all this. I like to have my heat like a medium heat. Actually, this looks like it has some soap spots on it from maybe a dishwasher. Definitely don't want our crepes tasting like soap. Okay. So there we go. Okay, so we got that. Cool. Dude. Alright. This recipe is one that I've kind of like come up with it on my own, but it's based off of other recipes that I've tried. And this seems to be really helpful, really consistent. So we're gonna grab some strawberries. Get that stool out of the way because I don't need it. I can reach. Alright, so gonna need a spatula eventually when I start putting the crepe batter on there. Okay, and let's put it right there. Okay, so I'm gonna wash off some strawberries. This one still has the flower petals on it, that's kind of fun. Alright, okay, so what I want to do is I want to have the bowl that I'll be keeping my strawberries in. I'm going to fill it up with strawberries. This is just a great way to be able to measure how many strawberries you need. Okay. Strawberries. Alright. Thank you very much. That was so much better.
Don't you like this?
Where did you get that bowl?
What kind of plastic? Which I saw it in my bed. In my closet.
Hey Oliver, buddy, you're being really loud. He needs help. We all need help. Send help. Okay, I'm just gonna get like a little paring knife. Not anything fancy. Need something to cut my. Here we go. Old plastic baggie. I'm just gonna lay that down flat. I don't really need anything special. I'm just gonna cut the tops off onto that and put them back in. I like to let the pan heat up all the way before I put any batter in there. This pan is a non-stick pan, so it doesn't necessarily need to be buttered up or greased or anything like that. However, I always do add just a quick little run of butter. I mean, these things they have a butter base anyway, so it's not like it's going to ruin the flavor. But I want to make sure that I don't add the butter until right before I actually start adding the batter. Because otherwise the butter will burn and it's just not put. No, I don't want that in here, okay? I moved this because I didn't want to trip on it, okay? And right now I'm holding a knife. We don't want to have things underfoot when we're using knives, okay?
I can see you doing it.
That's fine, you can stand there. I just didn't want you there before because you weren't wearing pants. And that's embarrassing. it's getting close.
You're Daddy.
Hey, buddy, stop being so aggressive.
Can you get this down here? Right here? What are you asking for? For the chocolate. Yeah.
Close the fridge, please.
Oh, I want chocolate too. Yeah.
You didn't want chocolate milk earlier.
But I do now. Can you please grab me the chocolate milk? Could you stop chocolate milk?
Beep beep.
Ketchup milk too.
Now you want one?
Yeah, right?
It's good. It's good.
Man, you guys just like blew through these. I should say all over it.
Guess what?
It's the
There's a
organic soy-based milk or whatever.
I just know.
Oh, you're recording.
I'm doing it live so we can have the recipe and procedure on camera, you know, so
I'm escaping now.
for posterity.
Come on, you ridiculous fool! Come on.
This way, someday in the future, when the kids are like, "How did Dad make crepes?" Oh yeah. You do have a pair of glasses over here if you need them. You do have a pair of glasses over here if you need them. They're just right there. I can't really grab them. My hands are covered in strawberry. See in your beautiful dress.
What are you watching?
If there's one thing I've learned making crepes for kids, is that the strawberries are the first to go.
You're good at that.
Lots of practice, honey. Lots of practice.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yes, baby girl, I'm sure.
Also,
What is practice, Scarlett? Can you tell me what practice is?
you need to learn something else.
Okay, you do it to learn something else. Okay, what?
And you learn math.
Yeah, you can learn math if you
And you
practice.
can learn science.
And you can learn science. Okay.
And you can learn cooking.
When do you practice something?
When I'm doing a great job.
Oh, okay. Pan is up to temperature now. So what we can do, I'm gonna wash my hands. Hand towel over here.
You're
Hand
good
towel.
at that.
All right, let's go ahead and start getting some batter on the fire. I'm just gonna kind of re-stir this just to make sure nothing's really settled. I'm going to leave, I'm going to attempt to leave my whisk inside of the bowl for now, and that'll be helpful as I, actually I forgot to butter my pan. Butter. Yeah. All right, let's do this. Okay, so I'm just using a 1/4 cup of
What's a
batter.
quarter?
I just put it into the pan. and I swirl that pan around.
Okay, I see it.
I see it too.
Because I'm on something. Yeah.
And I'm just looking to get nice round full coverage of the bottom of the pan. And so I do that kind of low over the heat, swirl it around, and that helps to start cooking it as I'm swirling it. And that helps to get kind of a more even crepe surface. And I'll show you in a second, but you know that it's done, you know that it's ready to flip when the ends start to curl up and they start to brown. You can also see a bit of a color difference on the crepe itself. You're sneaking strawberries. You don't want to watch me, you want to eat strawberries. You'll see a color change over the surface of it, and you'll also see it starts off glossy, but then it turns to a more matte look. It turns from a lighter yellow to a darker yellow, and you can see as it cooks. Let's make sure that heat's good. Heat's good. Okay. So this is about what it looks like. Okay, not really a whole lot different. A whole lot to see. So you just want to find like one of those peeled up, I was gonna say corners. There are no corners in crepes. You kind of dig your spatula underneath it and flip it over. The first one's never the best one. Okay, you need to get down, okay? You don't get on the counter. Okay. So you turn it over, let it cook a little bit. With the first one, I'll usually flip it over a couple of times because, as you can see, you know, it didn't get toasty. So we're gonna go ahead and we're going to flip it back over here in a minute. While this is cooking, let's move these over here so you can actually get to them. Okay, strawberries. Starting to go. All right. One of the things, so crepes, it's kind of like a balance of chemistry.
Can I do a draw?
You can go over there and eat those strawberries. It's a balance of chemistry. So the different parts are going to perform different tasks in making the crepes have their consistency. So you'll get the eggs are what's helping them to harden when they're cooking, but also it's helping them to stay flexible because the eggs, if you've ever cooked like scrambled eggs, they have kind of like a spongy texture. And crepes also have something of a spongy texture. But it's not as spongy in a way of like, I'm gonna mop up a mess. Kind of spongy. It's the kind of spongy where it's like soft and pliable, you know. So I'm just gonna pull out a plate. Okay, it's just a small plate. I don't need a big plate. These crepes are not super huge. Okay. Not like the ones you get in San Francisco, you know. And when it's done, I can just pull it off, put it over to the side, grab another 1/4 cup-ish of batter, and we'll pour it in, and we'll swirl low over the fire. We try to let the measuring cup drain all the batter out of the cup. So I try to hang it there just long enough, get all that out of there, like so. you got to say like so when you're making something, or else you're not channeling your inner Martha Stewart or whatnot. Like so. Tip of the day. Okay. So this one's already almost done on that one side, and I can tell because it's turning from a lighter color to a darker color on the surface that I can see. Okay. And the glossiness is going away. That means that it's cooking. Okay, so the eggs help it to be kind of spongy and pliable. The flour and the milk helps it to be kind of runny. The flour helps to give it structure, okay, but it also helps it to create the rigidity of the crepes. Helps it to that's in the end what's cooking. That's what your gluten is craving. Your gluten desire. Okay, almost done with these. I like to go through and like cut them into slices and then cut them further down from there. Alright. Okay, this one's ready for a flip. I just like to work my spatula around the outside a little bit and then work my way underneath it and flip it over. Looks like I might need to flip it back over in a minute to be able to get a little bit toastier. But it's not too bad. Okay, I feel like I missed a strawberry. Probably missed more, yep. It's one of the things you just want to kind of look out for. Otherwise, you have all that volume, but you don't have all the strawberries cut. And so the kids get to the strawberries, and then you don't have enough strawberries for your own crepe, and then you just gotta, suffer. Or cut more strawberries. I have no idea what they're watching in there, but it sounds exciting. Okay, go ahead and put this back over. Yeah. When it's solid, it's easy enough to flip it by hand. You don't want to flip it by hand the first time because you still gotta like pry the crepe off of the surface. Plus, if the batter is still a little liquid, it's still a little damp, you could just cause some burns. So it's good to use the spatula first. Then when it's solid like that, when it's done cooking, it's easy enough just to use your hand. But you want to move quickly so you don't burn yourself. All right, look at that. We have some strawberries. Yes. God, call that a success. Wash, dry, towel. Okay, here we go. That's what it starts to look like after a while. Nice toasty. Okay. Start to put all the other cold ingredients away. Start to clean up. Get the butter. And the pepper. Just kidding. This video is sponsored by McCormick. Just kidding. Wouldn't that be nice? That'd be quite nice. Alright, let's check it. Yeah, it looks good. Okay. Go ahead and pull that off. Get a new scoop. Okay. Swirl it. And now we wait. A little bit more. There we go. Okay. Alright. So essentially that's how you make crepes. I don't think it's necessary to keep going. It's not necessary to finish all the batter or whatever, but you know, I just keep going and then keep, you know, batter to pan, pan to plate, plate to face. Just how it goes. So yeah, hope you like that. I like it. And